With all the bad news that's been coming out of Russia this year, it's easy to forget that President Vladimir Putin started 2014 by throwing the world an enormous party. It had been Putin's idea to hold the Winter Olympics in a tropical town called Sochi, and it took him almost 7 years to prepare for those games, not to mention a huge amount of money and a lot of fake snow. But he pulled it off, and it looked amazing. Russia may never have seemed like a more inviting place. Only then things started to unravel. 2 days before the closing ceremony of the Olympics, a revolution overthrew Putin's ally in Ukraine, and the new government quickly turned its back on Moscow and set out to join the European Union. Putin had reason to be furious. Ukraine was a key Russian ally, and as diplomats are fond of saying, Russia with Ukraine is an empire, Russia without Ukraine is just a country. But Putin's reaction to the revolution came as a shock even to some of his closest allies. He sent his troops to occupy the Ukrainian region of Crimea, allowing pro-Russian separatists to hold a vote for breaking away from Ukraine. Before the month of March was out, Putin had annexed Crimea outright and absorbed it into Russia. Officials in the West were outraged. Many of them started talking of a new Cold War.
They have violated basic international law.
And in the months that followed, Western sanctions imposed against Russia have battered the economy. But they did not make Putin change course. The Russian-backed rebellion only spread to the rest of southeast Ukraine. Throughout the spring and summer, Russian weapons and volunteers flooded across the border to help the rebel militias, and they soon set up a little protectorate of Moscow they called Novorossiya, or New Russia. It was over the skies of this war zone that a commercial jetliner was shot down in July. The evidence made public by Western officials put the blame on rebels in Ukraine, suggesting they hit the plane with a Russian missile system called a Buk, apparently by mistake. Nearly 300 people were killed in that catastrophe, most of them Europeans, dozens of them children. Many people believed the tragedy would make Putin back away from supporting the rebel militias, but he only increased that support. Russian tanks and soldiers, rather than just paramilitary volunteers, were even spotted pouring into Ukraine in August to help the rebels fight off the Ukrainian army. From talking to officials in Moscow, one gets the impression that Putin never had a plan for any of this.
Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin.
The war in East Ukraine has already claimed more than 4,000 lives. More than 1 million people have been forced to flee their homes, and it's hard to imagine that Putin would have wanted such an outcome. He certainly wasn't planning it when he invited the world to Sochi for the Games. But his rash decisions in the course of this year helped bring about a string of tragedies. His country and a lot of Eastern Europe will be feeling the consequences for years to come.